jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
Tariff whiplash. Donald Trump backs down for now.
The U.S. president pressing pause on some reciprocal tariffs, the instant impact on the markets, and deciphering what it means for Canada. Good evening. We begin tonight with news from Washington, where U.S. President Donald Trump has once again caused confusion in Canada and around the world. This afternoon, changing his mind on his tariff plan, instituting a 90-day pause for most nations, while also raising the levy on Chinese imports to 125%. CTV's Scott Lightfoot is following this story and also has immediate reaction from around the world.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, the White House has confirmed to CTV News that Canada will be exempt from the 10% baseline reciprocal tariffs the U.S. is imposing on dozens of other countries. This all comes after this morning the U.S. president posted a message on his Truth Social page telling Americans to, quote, be cool, and that everything is going to work out well. Hours later, he announced his global reciprocal tariff plan was on hold. After days of despair, the markets shot up in a matter of minutes following a social media post from the President of the United States that he had authorized a 90-day pause on global tariffs.
I guess they say it was the biggest day in financial history. That's a pretty big change. And I think the word would be flexible. You have to be flexible.
Just days after proclaiming Liberation Day in America and unveiling a list of reciprocal tariffs against a variety of nations, President Donald Trump announced this afternoon that those tariffs will be paused.
I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had, well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day. We had Liberation Day in America.
Canadian officials say they've reached out to their U.S. counterparts to see what, if any, impact today's announcement will have on the current trade war between the two countries. U.S. officials now say negotiations will be undertaken with individual countries.
Do not retaliate, and you will be rewarded. So every country in the world who wants to come and negotiate, we are willing to hear you. We're going to go down to a 10% baseline tariff for them.
The exception will be China. Today, that country announced retaliatory 84% tariffs in response to Trump's 104% levy on goods imported from China. So Trump raised that to 125%.
Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right. And now I've reversed it.
Trump denied today that the change in course was a sign he's losing credibility, instead saying he's merely showing flexibility. But critics aren't so sure.
Bullies back down when there's a big pressure. Markets were collapsing. It was a really scary situation. There wasn't any real viable alternative. And so the president and the administration have saved face as best they could by backing off.
Today's announcement came on the same day that Canada's 25% auto tariffs took effect. Now, unlike the U.S. auto tariffs, officials here had carved out individual auto parts from those tariffs. That move came after parts manufacturers warned that not doing so could lead to the shutdown of the entire North American auto industry. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Scott. And we'll have a closer look at the wild swings on the stock market coming up, the impact of Trump's tariffs and his shifting policy later in the newscast.
But first, the latest effort to tackle Toronto traffic with a new roadmap to unclog the congestion.
It's in a report now before city councillors that calls out the culprits causing the problems while identifying potential solutions. CTV's Mike Walker joins us live with that story. Mike.
Well, Michelle, Nathan, city staff provided an update today on its congestion management plan and said the main culprit for the gridlock across the city is construction. And one solution the city believes is increase fees for companies that block a live lane of traffic.
The roads are busier than ever, the commute longer, with more and more construction-related lane closures to navigate.
It's really hard for commuting, that you're late always.
It's been getting worse. It's just the construction.
Construction is largely to blame for Toronto's traffic woes, according to a new report on the city's congestion management that found during the peak construction season last summer, travel times doubled as nearly a quarter of roads were closed.
We want to make construction projects transparent, accountable, efficient and faster so we can clear the roads and ease congestion.
Among the measures the city is taking, increasing fees for construction companies that shut down a lane of traffic.
the less duration of construction, the less fees they have to pay. And that will change the dynamic.
A new daily fee that took effect on April 1st. Construction companies will have to pay more than $76 for an application, plus more than $40 per day for every 50 meters per lane per day.
We're starting to see a bit of a trend where constructors are going back, they're talking to their subcontractors, they're seeing other opportunities where they could be working 24/7 or other aspects of the work they can do to expedite things.
But there is opposition from the building industry.
You know, the fees targeting a sector that only occupies 5% of the roadways for the least amount of time is just literally another charge that we don't need right now as an industry, and particularly for consumers who have to pay these fees.
The Toronto Region Board of Trade has been advocating for better traffic management and calls the measures a step forward.
With what they're doing on construction lane closures, construction-related lane closures, we think there needs to be far fewer of them, and we think that they need to be of shorter duration.
But would like to see a traffic czar appointed to oversee all traffic-related planning.
We think we need to solve the problem, not manage the problem, and that's going to take a very robust package of measures.
Other measures include increasing the number of traffic agents from 22 to 67 by the summer, plus improving traffic management for major events, as well as expanding transit priority signals at intersections.
We just all got to be part of the solution. But again, to think there's a magic wand here, there ain't none.
Other factors contributing to the congestion outlined in the report is the city's population growth, with vehicle registrations increasing by 26% since 2014. City staff will be providing another update on its congestion management plan in the fall. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Still on the roads, could there be a compromise in the battle over bike lanes? It appears the Ford government may be doing some backpedaling when it comes to the plans to remove them. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with the story. Siobhan.
Well, the bike lanes on University Avenue running up to Queen's Park have been in Doug Ford's crosshairs. This has been a really thorny issue since the province got involved back in October. But now there is some sort of sense that both sides may be willing to work together to smooth things over.
Head out the door.
It's a policy that sparked a legal fight and sent cyclists out to pedal in protest on Toronto streets. A plan to remove bike lanes along stretches of University Avenue, Yonge Street, and Bloor. It was something the Premier campaigned on.
To bring sanity back to bike lanes.
But now there may be room for Queen's Park and City Hall to work in tandem on bike lanes.
From day one, I've been saying that there's a win-win solution.
A spokesperson for the Minister of Transportation stresses that gridlock costs Ontario $56 billion a year in lost productivity, but goes on to say, where both a reinstated car lane and a bike lane can exist, we are open to collaboration with the City of Toronto, provided they fund their portion of their identified infrastructure needs.
Get out the map and look at the lanes and see whether we could move some lanes.
Neither the city nor province were ready to spill about which roads could see a redesign.
I don't want to go into road by road in details. Are you talking about northbound, southbound?
But there is one stretch that, to Olivia Chow, is out of bounds for change. That's the one running along Bloor through the annex.
The merchants, the BIAs, the local residents, all really welcome it, so there's no reason to rip up the road.
Adding to congestion, costing more cash.
Just would hope that they kind of listen to what people are saying, that bike lanes are being used.
It'll be good if they can find some type of compromise, but I also know if they come for the bike lanes, a lot of people are going to be putting up a fight.
Bike lanes are the least of our issues here.
But it's an issue far from resolved, with a charter challenge of the bike lane removal plan set for next week. In the background of all of this, there is still planning work happening to remove sections of bike lane, but we have no more clarity tonight on exactly which sections and when it might happen. Reporting live, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Still ahead, hurry up and wait. The TTC warns delays will continue near Union Station on Line 1 because of a signal cable issue. We have the latest.
But first, let's take a live look outside this Wednesday. Humber Bay, beautiful actually this hour. We're seeing the sun peek through the clouds, although we certainly had cloudy conditions today. And that temperature, it could certainly be warmer for this time of year. Let's bring in Jessica Smith with the specifics. Jess.
It is a little deceiving, right? Because you see that sunshine and you hope that it's warm, but it definitely wasn't today. We were still on the positive side and warmer than yesterday, but we aren't quite there. Temperatures will rebound in time for the weekend, but we have some messy weather first. For the most part today, we were relatively dry. A few very light lake effect flurries making their way through off and on throughout the day today, but nothing really to accumulate. Temperature-wise, it is cool out there. We're still on the positive side, but we do have a wind chill to contend with. Now, over towards the island and Pearson, 4 degrees apiece. A south-southeasterly wind through the islands. Tonight, we'll see those winds get really, really light, but temperature-wise, we still hold on below seasonal. Cloud cover rolls in tonight. It sticks around to start the day tomorrow, and then the messy weather rolls in. We'll break it all down in a moment. Right now, back to Michelle.
Thank you, Jess. And weather permitting, Toronto's 5 city-run golf courses will open for the season tomorrow. Officials will show off investments in the facilities as they note the sport is growing in popularity. A record of more than 248,000 rounds were played on those public courses last year. Golfers are encouraged to book tee times in advance, either online or by phone.
Trouble on the TTC today with delays along Line 1.
A damaged signal cable is being blamed with no indication of when this problem will be fixed. CTV's John Musselman is live at Union Station tonight with the latest details. John.
Well, Michelle will let you know that the system is operating, but they are dealing with an issue, and we're getting announcements here at Union that there'll be delays between Union and St. George up to 5 or 10 minutes.
Next station is Union Station.
Subway commuters at Union Station say the delays never really extended beyond 10 minutes, but they say it was a bit annoying and frustrating, especially for people heading into work or school.
It was stopping weirdly for like a few minutes at every stop. So yeah, it's been pretty inconvenient since people have places to go. I have somewhere to go, so yeah.
Yeah, it was at every stop. It was about 2 minutes, the delay, 2 to 5 minutes we were waiting.
The TTC says the delays are due to a damaged signal cable on Line 1. It means trains must slow down a bit between King and St. Andrews Station in both directions near Union Station as a safety precaution.
We don't know what caused the damage to the cable. We just know the cable is damaged. So our priority now is to get service back as quickly as possible and safely. And then once we've done that, and as part of that, we'll look into exactly how the damage may have occurred.
Some other commuters say the delays were no big deal.
There was at the last 2-3 stops, there was a delay.
Did they announce anything?
They said there was a delay, that was it. They didn't say why.
It was coming to a stop anyway at the station right here. Just 3 minutes ago. That's all, nothing.
Transit officials say crews will be working overnight to try and repair the cable.
So we've also started doing things like short-turning some trains at Bloor and St. George just to relieve some congestion in the core. But essentially what it means is slower trip times and a slightly longer wait for our customers, unfortunately. So we apologize for that inconvenience, but we have to get that work done. And we can only do it overnight because, of course, we only have those windows between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. to do the repair work that we need to do.
There is no estimated time for when service will be running normally again on Line 1. And keep in mind, there is a Raptors game tonight, so if you are coming down, add about 10, possibly 15 minutes extra to your ride in. Reporting live at Union Station, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, John. Police in York Region are sharing new details in a homicide investigation in Vaughan, and they're asking for your help in solving the case. On September 1st, 2023, emergency crews found 50-year-old Rakesh Rick Joshi with a significant head injury in a home near Laskin Drive and Ilan Raymond Boulevard. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, police are sharing images captured the day before. They show a suspect in a black Porsche investigators say are connected to the killing of the mortgage broker.
We do believe that our victim had been deceased for approximately 24 hours prior to being discovered by police, which is why we're working backwards to try and gather this information. We are looking for anyone that may have recognized this in the neighborhood, anyone that might have had this stand out.
Police are asking anyone with information or footage related to the investigation to contact the homicide unit or Crime Stoppers.
At a Cayuga courthouse today, the trial continued for 2 people accused of killing Ontario Provincial Police Constable Greg Perchala in December of 2022. An agreed statement of facts was read detailing data found in a blue Motorola phone belonging to one of the accused, Randall McKenzie. They include images of firearms and text messages referring to, quote, shooting out the cops. The court also heard that the vehicle in a ditch to which Constable Perchala was responding had been stolen from Hamilton the day before. The trial continues tomorrow.
A Toronto hospital is facing allegations of neglect after a young patient was sexually assaulted while in their care.
Our family has now filed a lawsuit. CTV's Allison Hurst has the details.
While being treated as an inpatient at Humber River Hospital, a girl 14 years old at the time says she was sexually assaulted by another patient and claims complaints to staff were ignored.
Throughout the whole time, I felt unsafe.
She and her parents have filed a lawsuit against the hospital, claiming she suffered serious physical trauma and devastating psychological injuries during her roughly 1 month stay from July to August in 2018.
I felt like I had no rights there. I just felt like a literal animal.
According to the statement of claim, a 17-year-old patient began a targeted campaign of sexual harassment and coercion, and that if she did not comply with his demands, he would report her computer usage to HRH staff.
When I mentioned something, it was usually like dismissed. It was just dismissed.
The statement of claim says he was subsequently charged under the Youth Criminal Justice Act in respect of his transgressions against her and convicted of several offenses, including extortion, uttering threats, and sexual assault.
It was really hard to believe because we put trust in the care team and can't comprehend how 24/7 nursing care, child youth workers always there did not see this, did not stop this.
In one meeting, her mother says she was told her daughter was having a consensual relationship with another patient.
That was like a big red flag, and I was just like, that can't be right. And then they were like, well, we can't discuss this, it's confidential.
During her stay at the hospital, the girl pleaded with her parents to leave.
I'm horrified. When I found out a year ago what happened, I just wanted to vomit. I just couldn't breathe.
Then, on a supervised visit to the movie theater at Yorkdale, the 14-year-old escaped from the 2 staff members charged with her care without a phone or money.
I just wanted to get far away from these people.
According to the statement of claim, while she was out in the community, she was lured into a home of a male who promised to let her use his phone. He forced himself upon her and sexually assaulted her. It adds the man was charged and subsequently convicted of multiple criminal offenses, including sexual interference and sexual assault.
When I gave consent to the doctor basically reassured me that my daughter would be safe.
The claims have not been proven in court. In a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson for Humber River Hospital says we are unable to comment on patient matters.
It's ridiculous to see how many parents put their kids into places like this that, I don't know, they have full confidence that they're going to come out, different, healed, better, kinder people or whatever. But I'm genuinely 100% sure that I've come out more traumatized.
Which is why she wanted to share her story to make other families aware of what she experienced. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
The province plans to expand strong mayor powers to more municipalities across Ontario. The Ford government's been rolling out those enhanced authorities since 2022, starting with Toronto and Ottawa. They allow the mayor to more easily override council members on matters of policy related to provincial priorities. That can include issues like housing, roads, and transit. The province says it will look to extend those powers to 169 additional municipalities by May 1st.
As we near the halfway point of the federal election campaign, the race is tightening between the Liberals and the Conservatives.
CTV's Scott Hurst has more from the campaign trail as the party leaders continue to crisscross the country.
Pierre Poilievre is promising a Conservative government will be tough on crime.
We will carry out the biggest crackdown on crime in Canadian history.
Speaking at a campaign stop in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, the Conservative leader said criminals convicted of 3 serious offenses should automatically get a minimum 10 years behind bars.
3 strikes, you're out.
No bail, parole, probation, or house arrest during that time, and he says they will also be designated dangerous offenders.
We need a change to lock up the worst offenders, treat addiction, and bring home safety to our communities.
Campaigning in Alberta, which has been strong Tory territory, Mark Carney promised long-term competitiveness for the oil and gas sector to make Canada, as he puts it, a leading energy superpower while not losing sight of addressing climate concerns.
We can grow our energy sector while cutting carbon pollution. We can lead the energy transition while ensuring affordable energy at home and building the strongest economy in the G7.
Further west in Vancouver, Jagmeet Singh is promising full universal pharmacare, beginning with all essential medications, looking to build on the pharmacare gains it got from the confidence and supply agreement with the Liberals.
This is going to give a lot of relief to people that are worried about being able to afford their medication. It's going to save money for families. It's also going to improve our healthcare system.
Maxime Bernier of the People's Party of Canada was in London today to announce drastic measures to reform immigration, including a moratorium on new permanent residents until the housing crisis has cooled down.
Mass immigration is destroying our society, our economy, and our unique Canadian identity. We need a pause to repair the damage.
The Bloc Québécois is pushing for Quebec to have more authority to strengthen French language in the province, including an exemption from the Official Languages Act. Yves-François Blanchet is demanding it be protected. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
As we mentioned, the gap between the two leading parties continues to close. A 3-day sampling by Nanos Research ending April 8th has the Liberals at nearly 43% and the Conservatives now with more than 38%. The NDP is up slightly at 8.5%. As for preferred Prime Minister, Mark Carney is down by nearly 3 points, but still ahead at more than 47%. Pierre Poilievre has over 34% support, while Jagmeet Singh is down nearly a point to 4.7.
In Washington, the Senate has backed Pete Hoekstra as the next U.S. ambassador to Canada. Lawmakers voted 60-37 in favor of confirming the former business executive. He has also been a Republican member of the House of Representatives. Hoekstra will assume the post amid strained relations between the two traditional allies because of the U.S. tariffs and Donald Trump's comments about annexing our country. But Hoekstra told his confirmation hearing that Canada is a sovereign country. He is a former ambassador to the Netherlands.
Officials in the Dominican Republic say a devastating roof collapse yesterday claimed the lives of at least 124 people. More than 150 people were rescued, and the search for survivors continues. Crews say they'll likely need another 24 to 36 hours to complete their search. Emergency crews deployed heavy machinery to expedite recovery efforts. The tragedy unfolded during a concert when the roof suddenly collapsed at the club. There's no information yet on what caused the collapse.
Prince Harry was back in a London court today for the second day of hearings over the loss of his security detail while in the UK. The Duke lost police protection in 2020 after he stepped away from his role as a working royal and moved to the U.S. He claims he and his wife are endangered when visiting the UK because of hostility directed towards them on social media and through the tabloids. The prince's decision to attend the hearings in person is seen as a sign of how important the case is to him.
And King Charles stressed the need for close ties between Italy and the UK in a historic speech in the Italian Parliament.
Signal honour to have been asked to speak to you all this afternoon. The first time that a British sovereign has addressed the entire Italian Parliament, this fundamental democratic institution. Italy is, as I hope you know, a country very dear to my heart and that of the Queen, as it is to so many of our countrymen and women.
The King was on the third day of his visit to Italy. It's seen as part of an ongoing effort by the UK to strengthen ties with its European allies amid global turbulence and rising instability. The monarch also met privately with Pope Francis at the Vatican today. The pontiff had planned to have an audience with the King, but that was officially postponed while he recovers from double pneumonia.
Coming up, wearing pink to make people think. Students at the TDSB stand together on International Pink Shirt Day to put an end to bullying.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, the tariff dispute between Canada and the U.S. could lead to higher food prices. A major Canadian processor says the cost of cans could go up 25 cents or more per can, which means higher grocery bills. All of that story just ahead.
And we're still nowhere near seasonal, but we did hover on the positive side of the temperature scale throughout the day today, but we don't see a return to temperatures even close to where we should be until the weekend. Into the day tomorrow, yes, it is warm, but we are watching for messy weather throughout the afternoon and early evening. I'll break down the timing for you coming up in your full forecast, and stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
The battle over tariffs with the U.S. could soon show up on your grocery bill in the form of higher food prices.
Some food processors are also warning Canada's plan for retaliatory tariffs is only making it worse for Canadian consumers. Pat Foran has our story on Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. Many things we buy at the grocery store come in cans, but Canada's major food companies don't make their own cans. They buy them from the U.S. One company is warning if Canada doesn't change its strategy, canned goods could see major price hikes.
Sunbright Foods near Leamington, Ontario is the Canadian-owned and operated producer of brands like Unico and Primo. It's also one of the largest processors of tomatoes in the world. To ship all these tomatoes to market, they require a lot of cans that are manufactured in the U.S.
We buy the equivalent of about 200 million cans annually, and it works out to probably in the vicinity of about $40 million U.S.
CEO of Sunbright, John Iacobelli, says the 25% reciprocal tariff on steel and aluminum imports, including empty cans, means his company will have to pay another $15 million because of the tariff countermeasure. He says canned food products could increase 25 cents to 40 cents per can.
It's unnecessary.
It's not just Unico diced tomatoes that could be more expensive. Anything that is produced in Canada and comes in a can, from brown beans to vegetable soup, could cost more.
Canadians are going to be paying for all this.
Food professor Sylvain Charlebois says the Canadian government must be careful applying reciprocal tariffs because they'll drive up the cost of groceries. He says most companies that make canned goods will need to pass on the price hikes to consumers.
If you're buying something in a can, you're buying a product from a company that is managing incredibly thin margins. And so these tariffs are killers.
Canada's retaliatory tariffs are under review. Sunbright wants the 25% counter tariff scrapped, saying it will lead to higher grocery prices as well as possible job losses.
The last thing we want to do is have unnecessary inflation because of the tariff, and that's what's happening right now.
And if the tariffs remain in place, there may also be price hikes for fruits, snacks, baked goods, and other items. As shoppers buy fewer American products, more may come from Mexico, South America, and Europe, but shipping costs could also lead to higher prices. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, looking at the forecast, another below seasonal day. I guess you have to wear the heavier winter coat for some. Others are going with the lighter one.
Yeah. No, Nathan's still keeping it spring no matter what. Although it was, I would say, an improvement from yesterday. Yes. We didn't wake up to that little blanket of snow, and the wind chill, while still there, not as bad.
Every degree counts this time of year, and we are getting there. But you still have that chill in the air, and it's that time of year where we are kind of, you know, you weigh your choices in the morning. You're like, do I wear the winter coat and then be warm inside, or do I go with the lighter coat? Regardless, we are going to see the light at the end of the tunnel with the temperatures, at least by the time we get to the weekend. Spending time outside today, though, it was nice to see that, you know, we got a bit of a break. And, you know, as mentioned, we're getting into the beginning of golf season. Some of the city-run courses open tomorrow, but I'll be honest with you guys, it will not be a great day to go golfing unless you're an early riser, because the weather is going to be not awesome as we head into the afternoon. Now, temperature-wise, very similar to today, but a very breezy easterly wind comes in just in time for the system that's going to make its way in tomorrow afternoon. For now, though, we're sitting at 4 degrees, no real issue there. Warm through Windsor. The warmer spot, though, is in Red Lake in Ontario and extreme northern Ontario. They're warmer than we are here in the downtown core and really right across the GTA. Into this evening, we'll drop down to -2. We're still below seasonal, but it's better than yesterday, and we're holding on to all that hope because it gets even warmer as we head into the weekend. Into the day tomorrow, almost identical to today, 5 degrees. We should be at 11, but that breezy easterly wind's going to do a lot of work to help cool things down. We're keeping an eye on a system making its way up from south of the border that will push its way in just in time again for your afternoon and evening tomorrow. So keep that in the back of your mind when it comes to planning your commute and travel time. Maybe if you take transit, give yourself a little bit of extra time. Now, the rest of the evening, not all that bad, just some cloud cover and again, a little cool out there. Layers are going to be necessary. Into the morning tomorrow, the system starts between Windsor and London. For the GTA, it is just cloudy out there, cool and cloudy. As we make our way into that midpoint of our afternoon, we're looking at more of a wet snow. Because we're still on the positive side with our temperatures, we're holding on to this likely falling more as a wet snow, but just take your time driving, take your time commuting on the sidewalks for everybody out there. As we head into the evening, the commute time for a lot of people, again, it's going to be pretty busy, pretty messy out there on the roads, but it's falling as a wet snow and then transitioning over to more of a rain. So as we head into that really busy time getting home, just give yourself a little extra time on the roads and always drive according to the road and weather conditions. Into your Friday morning, still some lingering activity as you make your way areas just east of the city, but we do get a little bit of a break as we head in towards the afternoon and evening. And looking ahead to the weekend, we finally get back to what it should be temperature-wise. Again, into the day tomorrow, almost an identical forecast for your Thursday and Friday. That active weather is in the afternoon tomorrow and into the evening, so your commute is going to be maybe less than stellar getting home. Friday, those showers and really any of that snow activity pushes east into the early morning hours. Getting into Saturday, a little lingering cloud, but we get back. We're so close to those seasonal temps. But looking at Sunday, fantastic. No Sunday scaries with a forecast like that. A little messy, though, as we head in towards next week, and then by Wednesday, right back down. So 'tis the season for weather to be unpredictable. Nathan, I will send things back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Also tonight, a possible link between cannabis and psychosis. A new study raises concerns about the impact marijuana use can have on young people and their brain.
New research has linked frequent cannabis use and psychosis.
The study was done in Ontario, and as CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, the risk is especially concerning for young people.
We have seen significant changes in the last 6 years. What we are seeing and what the research is showing is that there's a really big increase in the number of young people that are experiencing episodes of psychosis after cannabis use.
Psychiatrist Dr. Julie Richard says the marijuana that many adults grew up with are a pale version of the edibles and vapes that are currently available.
Marijuana products of the 80s and 90s were typically joints that were on average around the potency of anywhere from 12 to 18% THC. What we're seeing now is that young people are accessing a variety of products that are made legally and sold in stores. Of course, these young people aren't supposed to get it by virtue of age, but we all know that young people can easily get alcohol or other products.
London Health Sciences researcher Dr. Lena Palaniappan has been studying the effects of frequent cannabis use on dopamine levels in people with and without experiences of psychosis or schizophrenia. And he explains that dopamine is a chemical that helps the brain assign value to things in an individual's life.
And if you have excess dopamine in some areas in the brain, you will start attaching meaning and value to things that you shouldn't be attaching. And this is what happens in psychosis.
Things like hearing imaginary voices or hallucinations.
When we scan their brain, especially the back of the brain where the dopamine signals start and connect with the rest of the brain, that area showed a higher signal for turnover of dopamine when people have been using cannabis for a long period of time.
And this link between cannabis use and increased risk of psychosis is especially high in young people whose brains are still developing.
Younger people should be a little bit more careful because you're in that age where psychosis develops. So typically late teens, early 20s is when schizophrenia onset occurs.
Dr. Palaniappan says people with cannabis dependency should try to minimize their use, but Dr. Richard goes further.
We know that THC is a very toxic stimulant to the brain, and that is causing lasting brain changes, and that there's no evidence that it supports adolescent mental health, quite the opposite.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The province has completed rail work at a GO train station in Hamilton, setting the stage for improvements on the Lakeshore West Line.
This means better service for anyone who relies on West Harbour GO
and faster service to and from Niagara Falls and one of Canada's most popular tourist destinations.
West Harbour GO Station has been connected to the main rail line on Lakeshore West. Right now, the transit hub is a dead end where trains have to back out before proceeding. Officials say commutes to and from points further west will drop by 15 minutes per round trip when the new routing takes effect in a few weeks.
After the break, homeward bound, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. confirms his $500 million 14-year extension with the Blue Jays. His message to fans coming up.
I think the word would be flexible. You have to be flexible.
Updating our top stories, more confusion on the international stage as the Trump administration backs down on part of its tariff plan. The U.S. president said he would pause so-called reciprocal tariffs on most countries, with the exception of China. Canada wasn't subject to those tariffs, but officials say they've asked Washington how this affects the ongoing trade standoff on this continent.
We want to make construction projects transparent, accountable, efficient, and faster.
A new report on road congestion says construction is the main culprit, sending travel times soaring, especially during the summer. The city says it's increasing fees for projects that take up traffic lanes to encourage companies to avoid doing so. Builders calling the fee hikes unfair.
A lot of people are going to be putting up a fight.
Bike lanes are the least of our issues here.
And the province is signaling some wiggle room when it comes to its policy on bike lanes. The Ford government had ordered those lanes removed from several stretches in Toronto, but it now says it's open to collaboration to keep bike lanes in some of those areas as long as a car lane is also reinstated. A charter challenge of the bike lane removal plan is set for next week.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app.
Stocks shot up today after U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 90-day pause on some tariffs. Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg has more in tonight's business report.
Hello there. Investors grabbed stocks today after U.S. President Trump said he's pausing higher so-called reciprocal tariffs for 3 months on dozens of America's trading partners. Toronto's composite stock index rose almost 5% on the day, and the S&P 500 benchmark of big American companies gained nearly 10%. But it wasn't immediately clear which nations will get tariff relief. Those who do will still be apparently taxed at a 10% baseline rate that went into effect on Saturday. And Trump is also hiking duties on China to a stratospheric 125% in an escalation of the trade battle between the world's two biggest economies. The Canadian dollar changed hands at 70.85 U.S. cents, up a fraction. West Texas Intermediate oil was at $62.35 U.S. a barrel, up $2.77. And our latest fix on Western Canadian Select oil, $49.80, down $1.40. And finally, the TSX Composite ended at 23,727.03, up just over 1,220 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
A heads up for residents along the waterfront. Ports Toronto will be carrying out an emergency training exercise tomorrow evening at Billy Bishop Airport. Officials say members of the public may spot what looks like a disabled aircraft and emergency vehicles on the tarmac. The scenario will also feature first responders and actors portraying people in need of medical attention. It will run from 9 p.m. to midnight on Thursday with no impact to airport operations. In sports, the Toronto Blue Jays confirmed today they have signed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to that 14-year, $500 million contract extension.
This is where I first fell in love with the game, where my childhood dream got closer to reality.
The team posted a video online showing the star slugger coming up through the organization. The front office calls the signing a monumental event in the team's history, saying the first baseman has captured the heart of the city and the country, and insists franchise players like the 26-year-old slugger don't come along very often. The extension begins next season and is the largest contract in team history. Now, Guerrero Jr. issued a statement that reads in part, "I love our Blue Jays fans. They have supported me my whole career and made me feel appreciated every day. I am very proud to wear the maple leaf and to be part of an organization with the same goal, to bring World Series championships back to Canada." The team will host a media conference with the four-time All-Star on Monday afternoon.
Springer lifts one left center field. Well hit. And gone!
Meanwhile, the Blue Jays continue their four-game series in Boston this evening. Toronto won 6-1 last night after taking Monday's opener. The Jays are 7-5 on the season. They finish up their series at Fenway Park tomorrow afternoon.
Jonathan Mobo.
The Raptors look to make it 2 in a row after Sunday's win in Brooklyn. Tonight, they host Charlotte, who's 14th in the Eastern Conference. Both teams have already been knocked out of playoff contention with just a few games left in the season.
John Tavares goes in and shoots, scores!
And the Maple Leafs will play another important game in the Sunshine State. Toronto lost 3-1 to the Panthers last night. This evening, they're in Tampa to take on a Lightning team that is just 2 points behind the Leafs for first place in the Atlantic Division. Both teams have 3 games left after tonight.
The Women's World Hockey Championship has begun in the Czech Republic. The U.S. went up 4-0 early in the second period and added 3 more for a 7-1 win against Finland. Another game, Sweden beat Germany and Czechia defeated Switzerland. Canada begins its title defense tomorrow in a game against Finland.
Meanwhile, the Olympic women's soccer tournament will be bigger than the men's edition for the first time. There will be 16 teams for women, 12 for men during the 2028 games in Los Angeles. It reverses the gender imbalance at the last Olympics, which had 16 men's teams and 12 in the women's tournament. Today's decision by the IOC's executive board helps increase the core number of athletes for LA to more than 50% for women and just over 49% for men.
Just ahead, celebrating Pink Shirt Day in a two-spirited way. Students at the TDSB show support and solidarity to end all forms of bullying.
The consequences for Canada in a new tariff turnaround.
People were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy.
Decoding the mixed messages and chaos surrounding Donald Trump's trade policy shift. Later on CTV National News.
Now more than ever, Canadians need to know where our leaders stand. CTV News keeps you informed on the issues that hit home. This election, connect to Canada's most trusted news source, CTV News, now more than ever.
Finally tonight, a pink promotion of diversity and inclusivity.
The TDSB took a colorful stand against bullying and discrimination today, sharing an important lesson with its students. CTV's Janice Golding reports.
A day of celebration at the Toronto District School Board's headquarters.
Every day is an opportunity to honor those who paved the way for inclusion, respect, and diversity.
A slew of guest speakers on this International Day of Pink, all conveying one message.
It's never, ever, ever okay to be bullied, ever.
The International Day of Pink was first launched in 2007 after a student in Nova Scotia was bullied for wearing a pink shirt. The next day, 2 fellow students mobilized the rest of the school to wear pink as a show of support and solidarity against bullying, particularly as relates to 2S LGBTQIA+ communities. Today's special theme, the board honored the 35th anniversary of the coining of the term Two-Spirit, which is used by some Indigenous North Americans to describe Native people who may embody both masculine and feminine spirits or a culturally distinct third gender.
So the cultural identity is a fabric of identity that we all understand as Indigenous people, but we now celebrate also that sense of identity through diverse expressions of gender, sexuality, and even celebrating our sex as two-spirit people.
The shirts everyone wore today, designed by student Rosie Artie.
I basically just wanted to make a connection look mirrored, so the soul is in the middle, because I think it's really important to have a connection within the two spirits.
Art comes in many different ways and many different fashions, and particularly for Indigenous people. But what's most important for us as Indigenous, queer, two-spirit, two-heart people is that we continue to tell our stories, continue to allow people to witness our truth.
Today's special presentation was recorded and broadcast to schools across the city.
And it was my goal, my wish, my hope that as many students as possible in our middle schools and our high schools would have an opportunity to learn today.
The International Day of Pink is recognized and celebrated around the world every year on the second Wednesday of April. Janice Golding, CTV News.
Well, it would have been so fitting if we had a pink sunset. A little bit, the sun's not looking too bad right now, but a lot of cloud cover dominating. We're longing for that sun to return.
You got to wait a little bit longer, I'm afraid. But you know what? We are going to see a really beautiful kind of switch up happen as we head into the weekend, just in time for a lot of folks to be out and about. But as we head through the rest of this evening, it's just that cloud cover and that cold air. And then into the day tomorrow, it gets messy. We just see light lake effect flurries off and on today as we made our way throughout our afternoon. Nothing really accumulating. Temperature-wise, we're holding on okay at 4 degrees right now in a fairly light kind of southeasterly or southeasterly wind. It's as we head into the day tomorrow, the winds will start to pick up, and we see this system making its way in, starting into that southwestern corner and making its way to us just in that midpoint of our day. So give yourself time for that midday drive or commute, and going home, much the same. But if you look ahead to the weekend, we got sunshine coming and double digits for at least a little while.
Okay, we'll take it. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Alman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a great night.